What's going on? How you doing? I am Tatum Speaks. If you are new here, please like, subscribe, share. It is raining like crazy. It just started. Hopefully, I don't lose my internet connection. That would be that would suck. Um, Good evening to Phoenix Rising, as always. G Will, as always. Thank you, thank you. Amber C, hello. Miss Stewart, Miss Denise Stewart, hello. Bolo, VNR, what's going on, sir? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Working on a project. Awesome, man. I'll be there for it. I'll be watching. Man, I'm sure you just heard that thunder. It's crazy right now. Um, I'm going to talk some politics today. Often when I delve into politics, I say to myself, self, why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we where we are right now? Today, I'm going to talk about black women supporting Kamala Harris. Kamala, 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 Kamala. Anyway, as the Democrats try to rewrite her history, I could have sworn that they said there was going to be a process. Something happened where I guess the process just got ignored. They said they wanted to go to convention and pick their nominee, and for some reason, that's just been completely ignored. I did some changes. If you can notice, how is the mic? Is it too loud? Is it too low? I did a few adjustments. As you can see, the back's a little bit different. I got a little overlay going on up here. Um, does it sound okay? I'm gonna wait for a response because I don't want to keep going. And you good? You good? Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Um, I trying to understand how we got where we are. This is very similar to the Joe Biden announcement where we just took a tweet as gospel and ran with it. I thought that was weird, and now here we are. We have a nominee without the process that they said that they were going to use for a nominee. So I'm going to start today looking at their process because this was their process. This is what they announced. This is what they said was going to happen, and I want you to watch this video and tell me if this is what you're seeing. So let's start it off without further ado. Um, yes, the song was Running Away, G Will, because the left are running away from their own history, from Kamala's history. And that's why I chose that song. So there's always a reason for for the music that I choose. And what's going on, Vince? And as long as I'm um, able to use music before I get monetized, I'm going to use as much music as I can because uh, they will not strike you until you start getting monetized, and then they'll start saying, okay, you can no longer use music. You can't use copywritten music. That's when they'll start shutting me down. But for right now, um, I'm going to be using every cool song that I like as my intros and my outros. So let's start with that video, and I want you guys to see the process. Hopefully, I don't lose connection. It really out of nowhere just started thunderstorming, like the house shook. That's how hard the last thunder was. So hopefully, I don't lose that connection. And for now, we're gonna run this live like normal, and then Mel's gonna go on right after me. So we'll see. We'll see if I don't last, Mel. Just go live. I'll try. I'll retry tomorrow if this doesn't go well because when I lose my connection, it usually goes down for a little bit. Miss Chicago, how you doing? Chi-town, Chi-town. So without further ado, the process.
What that process would be, what exactly would happen if he did it before the convention, what this process is, during the convention or after.
Well, thanks, Amy. I've been pleased that in just a few days, this has garnered so much support and discussion among Democrats, including Democrats on the National Committee. My goal was to not allow this to be left to the fates. Joe Biden steps down and Lord knows what we do. I was trying to lay out a process that would create an organized and very democratic and transparent process to choose a new nominee. It would basically compress the primary process into a month. There are 400 plus members of the Democratic National Committee. It would convene, nominations would be open, and we would get a requirement that anyone who wanted to be president or run in this primary would have to have the signature of 40 sitting members of the Democratic National Committee.
Now, this is what they said they were going to do. This is the man who pitched it, James Ogby. He pitched it, and they said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. This is what we're going to do. We're going to re-energize our base. And now we're where we are. Why? What changed? Anyway, sorry.
Including at least 4 from each of the 4 regions of the party. Now, since there's only 400 plus members, very few people could actually do that. It would be people that we know. It would be Governor Whitmer. It would be Cory Booker. It would be Kamala Harris and Governor Newsom and Governor Pritzker and maybe Governor Shapiro from Pennsylvania. People who already have a constituency and have states with members, enough members on the DNC that they would be able to get the required 40 in a week's time. Then they would begin to campaign. They'd be certified by the secretary as legitimate nominees. They would show they have a national base of support among elected Democratic Party officials. And then the party would organize a couple of town halls, televised town halls, where the candidates would appear. We'd go to the convention, and it would be like the convention of 1960, where it'd be wall-to-wall campaigning for delegates, the elected delegates, most of whom are Biden delegates. He would release them. And it'd be pretty exciting. The networks, the media would cover it wall to wall, as opposed to the way they cover these scripted conventions now, which maybe give it an hour or 2 each night. We'd have nominations from the floor. We'd have the speeches given. We'd have the horse trading taking place between state delegations. And an eventual nominee would be elected, probably after more than one ballot. But people would leave the convention with the new nominee energized, with wind in that nominee's sails. I don't agree with those who say, well, let Biden step out. If he steps out, Kamala should inherit it. I don't think it would be good for her. I think she should, if she is to be the nominee, she should be the result of a legitimate process in the convention that elected her. I think she'd win, but I think her winning ought to come as a result of a consensus process within the party. It'd be good for her, good for the party, and I think it would ensure the defeat of Donald Trump.
Now, this is what they said they were going to do. What happened to this? Again, we're taking their word for it that she's the nominee. She just was ordained. Why was she ordained? What happened to this whole process? This is literally what they said that they were going to do. This is no different than when we got that tweet that we're just supposed to accept. How is anyone going to run against Kamala? If she doesn't, if we don't go through this process? And he's going to go into why he doesn't think we should just give her the nomination. Now, I did tell you guys that this was going to happen because this is where the money's at. I'm going to assume they could not figure out a way to shift the money because she's the only one who had access to the war chest, the $250 million. It went up to like 280 once Biden slept away. But this was the inevitable. They have no other options, which is why they're not pretending to have other options. Cory Booker's not going to try. None of the people Whitmer, Newsom, none of them have the money. None of them have time to get the money. And none of them can take away from their DEI candidate. She was chosen for a reason. She was black. They used her skin color. They bragged about her skin color for the last 3.5 years. So they're stuck with it. She's a terrible candidate. Shh, don't tell anybody. But I'm going to tell you all. Yes, Robert Kennedy, he has no chance. He shouldn't have run as a Democrat. He tried to move over as an independent. It was too late. They'll never allow anyone to take their candidate away. They choose candidates. That's it. Sorry. Continue.
But I think that she needs to win rather than it simply be handed to her. I want to see a unified, energized party with a lot of excitement because they were part of a historic process of change. The president most likely would endorse her. I think that would be important. Most of the delegates, remember, to the convention who would be there are Biden delegates. He'd release them, but he could release them with, I want you to support Kamala Harris. Better to do it that way than to simply say by default she becomes the candidate because she's been vice president. Look, I've had conversation with her about issues I care about Gaza and the Middle East. I think she gets it, and I would love to support her, but I think I need to see an energized and open process resulting in the nominee. I don't think that just passing the mantle is good for her, good for the party, or good for this election.
Now, the reason he said all that is because he knows she's a terrible candidate. Everyone in politics, anyone who knows anything about politics knows she's a terrible candidate. The media is starting to already lie and shift and rewrite history, and I'm going to give examples of that. But we're watching the media in a conundrum because they just got called out for propping up Biden in the last election. And then everyone saw, whoa, what is going on here? This is not the guy you guys said he is. This isn't the sharp guy you guys said he is. Now they're gonna have to do the same thing with Kamala. They're gonna have to do the same thing with her, but she's got a lot more recent blunders. So she's not just fumbling around. You can't just say, oh, she was a highly intelligent, popular candidate in California. They can't do any of that. Her history is just passed within the last 10 years. We can't say, 50 years ago, yeah, he wanted segregation. Yeah, he called us predators. Yeah, he wanted us locked up for the offenses that his son makes. They can't do that with her. This is all recent history. It's not even that long ago. Even as far as back as 2020. And I'll show what happened. But this is where the liberals are now. So this young lady is going to speak, and then Cenk Uygur, I don't know how you say his name, extremely left candidate, is going to say the same thing that this gentleman was saying just now. And then you're going to hear from Bill Maher, who's going to say the same thing. They don't want this woman. They know who this woman is. So as they're pushing her through, watch what happens, because she's gonna implode. The media can't prop people up anymore. Those days are gone.
The media, the politicians, they chose to gaslight the voters, the donors, and all of the American people, lying, as you just saw. No, Biden is as sharp as a tack. He's not ill, he's mentally fit, and now he himself is acknowledging that he can't. And I also want to point out that this is a very rare election. At least in my lifetime, this is the first time you have a Trump presidency to compare to a Biden presidency. You have 4 and 4 years to look and compare and contrast, and it's a no-brainer. Yet they chose to gaslight us over and over again. And now we have a bigger issue that we cannot trust the Democratic Party. We cannot trust the media because they lied to us to our face unapologetically and continue to do so.
Cenk Uygur, I know that you've not wanted Biden to continue, so I presume that you're happy he's out of the race. But how happy are you that we now seem to be moving very quickly to a coronation of Queen Kamala, who has not had a single vote from any voters?
Yeah, I'm not happy about it at all. So first of all, I will give credit to Joe Biden on this. He did let go of power. Yes, it took a long time. Yes, we pushed him out. And I was one of the people pushing him out. But at the end, he did the right thing, which Donald Trump would never, ever do. And
is it any better? I just did a little bit of adjusting. This guy is as far left as you can get without falling off of a map. So as he's saying what he's saying, just pay attention. This is somebody who lives politics. That's all he does is talk politics. As far extreme as he may be, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to his party. When he talks about the right wing, he has no idea what he's talking about. It's all speculation and hatred and derangement syndrome. Ms. Genesis, does it sound a little bit better? Yes, no, yes. But yes, so listening to him and listening to the left speak about it shows that they're not just going to fall in line behind this woman, no matter what they try to do. Maybe more from a mic. All right, let's try this.
we saw that he didn't do in 2020. Now on to Kamala Harris. I think MSNBC has trained Democratic voters and politicians to be minions, and they're desperate for a leader. Hold on, let's vet her. There's a reason why Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Hakeem Jeffries have not endorsed her. That's actually amazing that they haven't endorsed her. So let's actually figure out if she's the right candidate or not. Why do we have to panic? Democrats are always panicking. Let's figure out who the best candidate is. Just take a minute to do that.
Vice President will get all of Biden's campaign money, and on the Democrats' best issue, abortion, she's a walking reminder to women that Republicans are coming for the abortion pill.
Now, Bill Maher is another leftist, but he speaks the truth. I think he genuinely believes what he says, and he's being genuine here. This is actually a really good monologue.
She won't just protect Plan B. She is Plan B. And as a former prosecutor, Kamala was putting criminals in jail back before liberals decided that was a bad thing. Now that CVS is locking the shaving cream behind plexiglass, Democrats are coming around to her again. Harris would be the first woman president, first black woman president, and first Asian president. But I don't vote for who will be the first. I vote for who will win. And for whatever reason, Harris has never been popular. You can count the number of delegates she won in the 2020 primaries on one hand, as long as that hand has no fingers. In 3 years as vice president, she's been quieter than an electric car. And like an electric car, your MAGA uncle can't explain why she fills him with homicidal rage. She just does. Sometimes life isn't fair. It's not fair that she's not popular. She's intelligent and accomplished, and in fact was put in charge of the border. And look at how... Okay, bad example.
So he made a joke there, but what he's saying is true, like I said. Mel, I knew you were going to bring this point up. I brought it up in the last live because I knew you were right when you said that he should have resigned. Mel said Joe Biden should resign when he said he wasn't allowed to move forward with the campaign because it doesn't make sense. If you can't run a campaign, how can you run the largest business in the history of mankind? Logically, he should have stepped down, and I knew you were going to bring this up when I saw you. But yeah, we're watching absolute nonsense. So, a couple things. When do I want to go that way? Do I want to go that route? I'm just gonna follow with the flow. You heard him make the joke about immigration, and he's right. Obviously, he's right. Let me get rid of that. They're now to the point where they're saying that she was not the border czar. And I want to go down a little rabbit hole, but I want to play this video first. Good morning. How you doing, Clara? Good morning, I guess. That threw me all off. But so I wanna show. Let me actually, you know what? Let's do this first. We're gonna play them saying that she was not the border czar. Oh yeah, Mel, I got all of it. I got it all. So let's play this first, and it's gonna lead. All right. I just changed my mind and what route I wanted to take. This is PolitiFact. PolitiFact is running with the narrative. It says President Joe Biden appointed Kamala Harris to be border czar to deal with illegal immigration. Harris was put in charge of stopping illegal immigration. And of course, they say it's mostly false. The problem with that is I haven't seen anyone say that she was supposed to stop illegal immigration. And that's how PolitiFact gets away with their fake ratings. When they say something is rated, true or false, this is how they do it. They create a straw man, and then they make an entire article against it. And that's just what they do. So if you go down and you read their reasoning, they're saying that she was not charged with it. And they're blaming Republicans. Republicans have reviewed the title that they gave her in 2021, Border Czar, right? All right. Enough of that. Let me close this nonsense. Uh-oh, what's going on? Am I frozen here? All right, that's gone, right? Let me go full screen here. Let's go and see. Is that true? Like, Did we just make this up? Did Republicans proclaim her to be the border czar? Present, share screen. We're going to go with an article, I want to say today. No, this was so last week. Harris border confusion haunts her new campaign. And it says, let's go down. I want to see who they blame for this. Driving the news. In the past few days, the Trump campaign and Republicans have tagged Harris repeatedly with the border czar title, which she never actually had. Harris was appointed border czar in March of 2021. Since that time, millions of illegal aliens have invaded our country, and countless Americans have been killed by migrant crime because of her willful demolition of American border and laws, Trump told reporters. And they're saying that the right created these narratives. The GOP chair, Stefanik, introduced a resolution condemning the administration and its border czar for failing to secure the U.S. Harris supporters have rushed to her defense. She assumed the role that Vice President Biden had during the Obama administration, which is diplomacy in Central America, which Jay Johnson said that she was not the border czar. How we got here. This is according to Axios, a very far left-wing rag. How we got here. In March 2021, Biden tapped Harris to lead the administration's coordination with Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, which were key sources of migration to the border. The announcement led to near immediate confusion, which I don't know what's confusing about that. It led to immediate confusion in the media and the White House over how involved she would be with Republicans and some news outlets, including Axios. This is Axios. Including Axios giving Harris the unofficial moniker of border czar. The same article that said she was never border czar is now admitting, okay, well, maybe we did give it to her. But just up a few seconds ago, I read to you guys that they said Republicans unfairly labeled her the border czar. This is them. The border czar narrative stuck, especially in conservative circles, as calls mounted in spring 2021 for Harris to visit the border. And it took her 2 years to visit the border. So it's not like those calls worked, right? So that was Axios just a few days ago. All right. Let's look at the AP, Associated Press, a few years ago. I wasn't going to go in this order, but since Bill Maher brought it up, I want to go. Is March 24th, 2021. And this says that she's going to lead the White House effort to tackle the migration challenge. They couldn't even call it immigration. This is why the AP is very deceptive. All news outlets use the AP, the Associated Press, for generic stories, and it's all fake. Look at this. Look at this nonsense. This is the Associated Press. They spelt Mayorkas' name wrong. What is this? I'm sitting here about to read this, and I just found a typo from the Associated Press. His name is Alejandro. They just made him a woman. I guess they misgendered him. I can't believe this. Wow. I'm not an editor, but apparently they don't have any at the Associated Press. Anyway, I can't believe they did. How did they get his name wrong and nobody saw that? It's been sitting there for 3 years. Wow. Wow. That's all I can say is wow. All right. Where's the part that I wanted to look at? Crap. I was looking for something on this article. I thought this article was about her appointment. Wednesday with the Health Human Secretary Xavier Becerra, Alejandra Mayorkas, and other immigration. Okay, so I guess they just met. So this isn't what I thought it was. Delegating the matter to Harris, Biden is seeking to replicate a dynamic role that he played under Obama. All right, that's not what I thought it was. I thought that was going to talk about the actual position. All right, let's go next. Next. Alejandra. I can't believe that. I should be an editor. All right, next, we're going to go to a Post article. New York Post, which is more on the right. Holy crap, there's a lot of... All right, and in this article, can I make this bigger? I guess not. Can you guys see? Well, all right, I'm still going to read it. Some mainstream media outlets are now trying to downplay her role as the border czar, despite previously giving her the title. The kerfuffle started over an Axios story Wednesday that said she never actually had the title, which further down in that article, they said, well, we did give her that title. So it says, critics quickly point out an April of 2021 article on the site. Let me go. You guys can't see this where I'm clicking, but I'm gonna move to it right now. This is unbelievable. Uh-oh. Am I still on? Oh crap. It says that it's trying to connect. Okay. All right. Now, there we go. What's going on, Truepak? Now we're going to go to the Axios article that it just moved me to. It says why this matters. This is Axios, April 14th, 2021. Harris appointed by Biden as the border czar. This is what they said. This is their title that they gave her, and now they're denying it. They're saying that we didn't. Well, we said it, but we didn't mean it. Conservatives, it's them. They're the ones doing it. So when you see what they're doing, let's see. It's very easy to see, okay, they're playing some kind of game. Something's wrong here. I don't understand. But what did she do when it came to her role as the border czar? What did Kamala Harris do? This is a lot of people right here. Her job was to address the root causes of immigration. The budget provides approximately $1 billion for Central American programming to meet the president's commitment to invest $4 billion in Central America over 4 years to address the root causes of people coming here. $4 billion. Now, that's not a lot of money in the overall scheme of things, but I'm pretty sure Chicago could use $4 billion. Miss Chicago, where I grew up, over at 59th and Artesian, all the way to 69th and Artesian, 71st and Artesian, 69th. We sure could have used $4 billion in that neighborhood. Why is it going to Central America? They're not even stopping immigration from happening. They have a responsibility to patrol their own borders. They're not doing that. So what are we doing? We're paying them. This is what made Trump so effective in his foreign policy. He would say, you know what? Why am I paying you? Why am I paying you to send your insane asylum people here, your prisoners here? Why am I paying you to do that? I'm not paying you anymore. And what do? They shorted up. They stopped doing it. That's just what it is. So we're going to give money to Central America to figure out why people are coming to the U.S. I think it's pretty obvious, especially when you're talking about corrupt nations. You're coming through Mexico. We know why they're allowing people to come through. What are we doing? What are we doing? especially black people. And I've done 2 lives on this now. Why are we supporting this nonsense? There's only one party doing this. Why are we supporting this? But let's listen to the media talk about her. And I played this before, but let's listen to the media say that she's not the border czar as well as say that she is. Because this is what you're going to see nonstop, and you're not going to know what to believe.
Border czar. Vice President Harris was not a border czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People gonna have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
They were very critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border czar.
The Biden team didn't declare her the border czar. They wanted her to work on kind of the root causes of immigration.
There has been so much criticism against Kamala Harris. You know, she was the border czar.
Calling her sort of the border czar, which wasn't necessarily the case.
So the border, if they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
How would a rate?
So, to your point, Uncle L, now she's not the border czar, apparently. Those are the same 3 outlets. Those are the same 3 outlets. I didn't make that one, Mel W. That one, I shared it on the last stream. But these are the same 3 outlets. I think it was CBS, MSNBC, and CNN, all saying the exact opposite things depending on when they need a narrative to work for them. That's fascinating to me. I don't understand why people. Nobody's gonna, even on the left, they should say, "All right, guys, we got to stop doing this." If you're gonna be an honest person, which apparently nobody's gonna be, you have to say, "Okay, you guys, we can't keep doing this." When Trump was president, COVID was not his strong suit, so people came out against him on the right. Hey, let's relax on this talk about the jab. Let's relax on this. And he had his reasons for doing what he did. A lot of people on the right were against it. Cool. There was a disagreement. It doesn't seem as if the left ever disagrees on anything. They literally put out a script, and you just saw several examples of 3 media outlets just 180 degrees versus what they were saying. Literally, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, when they thought she was going to do something about the border, they championed her. When she didn't visit for 2 years, they said, "Oh, well, she's not really the border. That's not her responsibility. She's not the border czar." That's what they're saying now. That they just, I guess, I don't know, just make her. They just crowned her the next president. It's fascinating stuff. It's fascinating. So where does that lead? That leads to this. This is the second part of the video. Same person made it. I think at the end I have it, so you'll see who made this video. So if you guys want to find him, but it's the inevitable place. Where is there some place? Yeah, you can on Instagram, DM or Twitter, same name. Oh, you can't see me. On the top of the screen, that's my name on. That's Cash App name, Twitter /X, IG, Rumble. You can send any videos there that you want me to see. I'll definitely look at them if I haven't already seen them. But just know my timeline is, I see everything, more than I need to see. But anyway, the inevitable place that lying like this goes is racism, sexism, misogyny. And that's where this second part of this video is going to go, because it's just what they do.
Versus Harris versus Trump look like, and do you think that Harris could actually win this?
Well, first of all, it's going to be ugly. Incredible racism, sexism, and misogyny has been thrown at Harris all along.
She won't be backing down from any of those sexist and racist, disgusting statements that we are anticipating coming from the right.
Be prepared for the racist, sexist, and xenophobic tenor.
He is going to try to attack
Senator Kamala Harris with both sexist and racist tropes.
He's reverted back to his racist and sexist tropes.
VP pick Kamala Harris responds to racist and sexist attacks.
Sexist and racist attacks.
Racist and sexist attacks. I wonder what you make of these racist and sexist attacks.
Attacks that can only be described as sexist and racist.
Sexist, sort of racist attacks.
Sexist and racist language about her.
Part of the reason why these attacks work is because they play on such deeply ingrained gender and racist biases in our culture.
It's very important that we all are cognizant of the racism around us, the misogyny around us. All of us are guilty of it. The right-wing media, Tiffany, are going to be racist. They're going to be sexist. We know that.
Vice President Kamala Harris needs to be more humbled.
Absurd. And we've gotten to the point where I'm ready to call this stuff racist and sexist.
Republicans launch racist and sexist attacks against Senator Kamala Harris.
Racist and sexist tropes.
Sexist attacks and racist attacks.
The racist and sexist attacks.
They are racist. They are sexist.
Racist, sexist, and deeply misogynistic.
There are a few things that you said, like keeping the America that I know and love, or calling Kamala Harris an angry or mean woman, that some people look at as racist or sexist.
So this is the guy who, or these are the people who made that compilation. I didn't make that one. So MRC Newsbusters, if you want to look them up. Maybe Twitter or IG, either way. But that's a really good video. I played it last live. I played it again here for a reason. This is the only way that those kinds of arguments can go. But I think it's getting old, and it's not working on black men anymore. But to Mel's point, you notice they've used black women to spearhead the bullying blacks into backing Harris. Claims are weird, not welcome to the cookout. That's why I titled this live the way I did. And it's a game. And it's lose-lose for the person that they throw these insults at. So this is Joy Reid. This is real short, but listen to what she does.
Committed to naming a black woman as your vice presidential running mate. What makes this so ugly is that it reveals a truth that is clearly broadly held within Republican circles. That white men, by definition, when they have a job, earned it and deserve it. And anybody but a white man is a DEI hire.
Let's go back to that, because it's fascinating what she did. When she was interviewing, I believe, Biden, 2020, she's saying one thing, and now she's saying something completely different, and then blaming other people for what she asked her candidate to do.
Are you committed to naming a black woman as your vice presidential running mate? What makes this so ugly is that it reveals a truth that is clearly broadly held within Republican circles. That white men, by definition, when they have a job, earned it and deserve it. And anybody but a white man is a DEI hire.
That's her. She did it. Isn't that fascinating? So you cannot win with these people. They just move the goalposts. You hear that? It's an overused term, but this is really what it is. She literally demanded a black woman candidate for VP of her candidate, Joe Biden, and then 3 years later, she's saying, oh, this is what white people do. This is what white men do. They say she was hired just because of her skin color. Yeah, you demanded that she be hired based on her skin color. That's the point. But instead of taking any kind of responsibility, because she failed and everyone knows she failed, what do? Blame the whitey. She's a race hustler. To Mel's point, Stacey Abrams, Clyburn of, what is it, South Carolina? Roland Martin, all of them. This is what they do. They just move right on as if it never happened. They always forget nothing gets deleted, but it doesn't matter because they just move on. And our people, black people, right now, specifically black women, are okay with it. They're saying, oh, I don't care. She's black. That's all that matters. I just, it's unbelievable. But she's terrible at connecting with black people, which is why men are like, what are we doing here? I don't know where the blind loyalty is with the women, but I think more are waking up But if you watch this is Kamala Harris.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this. Any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No.
If you are president.
Now, I got this off of Angie Stanton's IG. And now I want you to listen to this, because she was talking about Black people. No, I'm not going to do anything that just benefits Black people. Now listen to her talk about Hispanic people.
What specifically would you do with the thousands of people who try to reach the United States every day and want a better life through asylum?
Immediately on January 20th of 2021, I will, first of all, we cannot forget our DACA recipients, and so I'm going to start there. I will immediately, by executive action, reinstate DACA status and DACA protection to those young people.
She's already got very, very, very specific legislation that she would push for illegals.
Will further extend protection for deferral of deportation for their parents and for veterans who we have so many who are undocumented and have served our country and fought for our democracy.
So she's talking about illegals, their parents, veterans who are illegals. I don't know how that works. I have no idea how that works. But apparently there's illegal veterans in the United States. And these are the people she's talking about. It's very specific. But if you go back to the beginning, let's go back. Just a second.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No.
If you are president, what specific...
Not going to say anything specific for Black people, but she's going to give 4 things back to back that she would do for illegals. Not even Hispanic Americans. Illegals.
Specifically would you do with the thousands of people who try to reach the United States every day and want a better life through asylum?
Immediately on January 20th of 2021, I will, first of all, we cannot forget our DACA recipients, and so I'm going to start there. I will immediately, by executive action, reinstate DACA status and DACA protection to those young people. I will further extend protection for deferral of deportation for their parents and for veterans who we have so many who are undocumented and have served our country and fought for our democracy. I will also immediately put in place a meaningful process for reviewing the cases for asylum. I will release children from cages. I will get rid of the private detention centers. It is.
So all of that, she was able to go down the line. Boom, 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 boom. This is what I'll do for illegals. But when she was asked specifically what she would do for Black people, well, I'm not going to do anything specifically for you guys. I'm going to do stuff that helps everybody. Do you, American citizen, Black man, Black woman, do you get helped by DACA? By Dreamers? Who were anchor babies? Do you get help by her allowing their parents to stay? Do you get help by not separating kids from people who they don't even know if they're the parent? Do you get help by any of this? Anything she just listed. Illegal veterans. I don't even know what that means. I genuinely don't know what that means. And yes, Mel, the people clapped. That's so great. That's their new demo. You're being replaced and you're spearheading it. Black woman, for the most part, you're spearheading this. What do you get to gain by her talking about speeding up the process of asylum for illegal immigrants? They're not even supposed to be here. Their claims to asylum should be at our border. They let them in, fly them wherever they want to go, and then they process their claims to asylum. This is what she's done as our non-border czar, apparently.
Our lowest income communities and our
And again, now when it's about black people, we're going to talk let's talk on scale. Let's talk about all brown and black people.
communities of color that are most impacted by these extreme conditions and impacted by issues that are not of their own making. And so
women.
absolutely. And so we have to address this in a way that is about giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. And if we want people to be in an equal place, sometimes we have to take into account those disparities and do that work.
If we want fair outcomes, we must understand what are disparities and then accommodate and adjust for those disparities if we want equal outcomes.
Well, I think
she does this weird circular talk where if I want to take a bus, I have to look at the bus and then decide if I'm going to take the bus. And that means I need to take the bus to get where I'm going so we can take buses. Like she does this weird thing where she just repeats words and thinks that it's making sense. That's what happens with her when she gets asked a question she was not expecting. The problem with her is the questions are always like the number one questions anyone should ask her. And she still somehow gets caught off guard. When Lester Holt asked her why she hasn't been to the border, she was named the border czar. She bragged about it. Everyone called her that. So the first question that somebody's going to ask is, when are you going to the border? I have been to the border. You haven't been in this administration. I'm going to go to the border. We've been to the border. I'm going to go to the border. And then she starts saying border, 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 border. This is what she does. This is her, again, in front of Essence. I played this one before, but just listen. When she's asked questions by black people, she's clearly uncomfortable because she does not want to make that commitment.
culture is, it is a reflection of our moment and our time, right? And present culture is the way we express how, right?
Outcomes.
As she does this cringe, why is that black lady doing this? As if she knows what she's talking about. She hasn't said anything. She's sitting there. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, sister. What is this?
Well, I think culture is, it is a reflection of our moment and our time, right? And present culture is the way we express how we're feeling about the moment. And we should always find times to express how we feel about the moment that is a reflection of joy, because you know, it comes in the morning. We have to find ways to also express the way we feel about the moment in terms of just having language and a connection to how people are experiencing life.
Our Supreme Court.
What is she talking?
It is a reflection of our moment.
We want.
This is beyond condescending. She speaks as if she's teaching you something.
Equal outcomes.
Well, I think culture is, it is a reflection of our moment and our time, right? And present culture is the way we express how we're feeling about the moment. And we should always find times to express how we feel about the moment that is a reflection of joy, because you know, it comes in the morning.
Why is that lady?
We have to find ways to also express the way we feel about the moment in terms of just having language and a connection to how people are experiencing life.
That makes no sense. She didn't say anything. She threw the word culture, moment, language out there about 5 times each, and they skirt past. They even laughed when she left. That's why she does that awkward laugh. She knows it makes people feel awkward. They laugh with her, and then they move on. This is definitely cringe.
Supreme Court is on the line. Our basic freedoms are being tested, Madam VP. I know you've been traveling across the country. What are you hearing?
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets. And let me tell you, you're right, Taraji. There is so much at stake in this moment. The majority of us believe in freedom and equality. But these extremists, as they say, they're not like us.
They not.
Policy.
How insulting is that? How insulting should she have been by that? Basic free. What freedoms? What was she even talking about? He said, you got to look up the interview Harris had with the woman from the office, the Indian woman. I'll check it out. What's going on, Rare Money? How you doing, sir? But one thing that Harris has never been able to shake, I played a very specific case of a young man who was on death row and she tried to have executed. I played that last live. So if you didn't see that, you really, really, really should see that. Vibes in my lane. How you doing? Welcome back. Welcome back. Very cool. I'm out here in these streets. It's no different. But for some reason, nobody's offended by this. But this one, this is what has tarnished her entire career. This, what you're about to see, ended her candidacy and caused her to get 0 delegates. And she was polling like 3% in her own state.
On the issue of busing in the 1970s, having benefited from busing, when Senator Harris, you have also been quite critical of Vice President Biden's policies on race, specifically on the issue of busing in the 1970s, having benefited from busing when you were a young child. Vice President Biden says that your current position on busing, you're opposed to federally mandated busing, that position is the same as his position. Is he right?
That is simply false. And let's be very clear about this. When Vice President Biden was in the United States Senate working with segregationists to oppose busing, which was the vehicle by which we would integrate America's public schools, had I been in the United States Senate at that time, I would have been completely on the other side of the aisle. And let's be clear about this. Had those segregationists their way, I would not be a member of the United States Senate, Cory Booker would not be a member of the United States Senate, and Barack Obama would not have been in a position to nominate him to the title he now holds. And so
she went on to say, we did it, Joe. She's calling the man a racist, and she ran with him. What does that make her? I'm just saying, what does that make her? You call this man a racist outright. Booker called him a racist. Sheila Jackson Lee, RIP, called him racist. And she ran with him.
So on that issue, we could not be more apart, which is that the vice president has still failed to acknowledge that it was wrong to take the position that he took at that time.
By the way, to this day, he's never acknowledged it.
Now, I would like to also talk about this conversation about Eric Garner, because I too met with his mother. And one of the things that we've got to be clear about is that this president of the United States, Donald Trump, while he has been in office, has quietly been allowing the United States Department of Justice to shut down consent decrees, to stop pattern and practice investigations. On that case, we also know that the Civil Rights Division, this is important, the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice said charges should have been filed, but this United States Department of Justice usurped, and I believe it is because that president did not want those charges to go forward, and they overrode a decision by the Civil Rights Division of the United States Department of Justice. Under my administration, the Civil Rights Division will reign, and there will be independent investigations.
Vice President Biden, I want to give you a chance to respond to what Senator Harris just said.
This was when she was trying to appeal to Black America in 2020. It didn't work. But just watch, because this is what ends her.
When Senator Harris was the Attorney General for 8 years in the state of California, there were 2 of the most segregated school districts in the country, in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. And she did not, I didn't see a single solitary time she brought a case against them to desegregate them. Secondly, she also was in a situation where she had a police department when she was there that in fact was abusing people's rights. And the fact was that she, in fact, was told by her own people, that her own staff, that she should do something about and disclose to defense attorneys like me that you, in fact, have been, the police officer did something that did not give you information that would exculpate your client.
Do you guys remember this? I do. Oh, it's about to get worse, Rare Money. This is 2020. She's calling him racist. He's saying she's trying to kill people. And they ran together. If either of them believed anything they said, why did they run together? See, this is what made Trump appealing. He roasted people. He didn't do this. There's no way he would have ever taken Jeb. So when he destroyed Jeb Bush based on policy, there was no way he was going to let him run with him. They're destroying each other on policy. And then they run together.
She didn't do that. She never did it. And so what happened? Along came a federal judge and said, enough, enough. And he freed 1,000 of these people. If you doubt me, Google 1,000 prisoners freed, Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Vice President Biden. And Senator Harris, your response?
This is simply not true.
Now it was actually 1,500 people. He was already declining. You can see it there.
And as Attorney General of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice, I am proud of the work we did, work that has received national recognition for what has been the important work of reforming a criminal justice system and cleaning up the consequences of the bills that you passed when you were in the United States Senate for decades.
So she said that her job as prosecutor in California was to clean up Joe's mess from 92-94, the 94 crime bill, which he was promoting the entire time. This is phenomenal. Beautiful. And how you doing, young lady? So they're sitting here calling each other out to Phoenix Rising Point. Two racists talking about how the other one out racist each other is wild. That's what they're doing. He says, well, she tried to kill people. And she says, well, I'm doing the job from your crime bill that was mass incarceration. They're just literally destroying each other on policy. Then they ran with each other.
It was the work of creating one of the first in the nation initiatives around re-entering former offenders and getting them jobs and counseling.
Thank you, Senator.
I did the work as Attorney General of putting body cameras on special agents in the state of California, and I'm proud of that work.
I want to bring in Congresswoman Gabbard. Congresswoman Gabbard, you.
This may be the greatest moment in debate history, what you guys are about to watch. That's why I put this up here. This may be the greatest moment in presidential debate history. This was a primary, but this is unbelievable because, again, this ended Kamala Harris's run.
Took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
She never recovered from this because what happened was everyone went to look this stuff up and they were like, oh my God, this is true. Never recovered from it. Matter of fact, that was so fire. We go to just where they show her face. This is perfect.
State of California, and I'm proud of that work.
I want to bring in Congresswoman Gabbard. Congresswoman Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Now, this was a primary. Did you hear that audience cheering? That's how disliked she is in her own party. Those were Democrats cheering for Tulsi when she said that. Nobody likes her. Shh.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman.
So after locking up 1,500 people for smoking weed, she all of a sudden said she wants to legalize marijuana in the United States. Those people don't get their time back. It's unbelievable.
Gabbard, back in. Your response.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
If you guys did not see my last live, I played a video where they went over a very specific case of the man who was about to be executed and how she hid evidence and tried to fight against the DNA evidence being allowed in. She wanted to kill a man. It doesn't get worse than that. For politics. And she laughed and said when she was prosecuting parents of kids who were skipping school, the only thing that she was concerned about was politics. Please go back and watch my last live if you didn't see it. This woman she's not there. She was worried about politics while locking up parents. She literally tried to get a man killed and fought against something that could free him. A judge, they said, I forget what you call the word. Excoriated? That's a good word. A judge excoriated her because she was hiding evidence on those weed cases. There was false positives. So she was locking people up for no reason. She knew they were false positives and locked them up anyway. This is not normal. You have to be a sociopath to think the way this woman thinks. She does not care at all. 100%. She does not care. All she cared about then was politics. She laughed while the crowd was silent and said, well, they didn't know, we hadn't shored up. We didn't know if I was going to have any competition in the political race. But I knew I needed to start locking these parents up. This woman's psycho. This is not a joke. So when I say this woman should never be near the office, it was bad enough that she was VP and that could have changed it at one flight up the stairs. But now she's running for president. The way she thinks is like a tyrant. Maybe I'll play that video again because that was infuriating.
Senator Harris.
My entire career, I have been personally opposed to the death penalty, and that has never changed. And I dare anybody who is in a position to make that decision, to face the people I have faced, to say, I will not seek the death penalty. That is my background. That is my work. I am proud of it. I think you can judge people by when they are under fire, and it's not about some fancy opinion on a stage, but when they're in the position to actually make a decision, what do they do? When I was in the position of having to decide whether or not to seek a death penalty on cases I prosecuted, I made a very difficult decision that was not popular to not seek the death penalty.
To not seek the death penalty. You know what? I was not going to do this. But that lie is so infuriating that I'm going to find that video that I played last week. I hope I still have it. Because she's lying. It's just not true. What she just said there is just not true. I hope I have it. Do I have it? Did I get rid of it? Dang it. She's lucky. She is lucky. I'm looking. Hold on. Kamala. Oh, here it is. I found it. We're going to pause at that part, and I'll go back to that. Let's cancel that. Who is Kamala is what this video is called. I was supposed to, I was supposed to play this. All right, let's do this. Video file. Who is Kamala? That's what I labeled it.
As Miss Black Lives Matter, when in reality, Kamala Harris was the queen of mass incarceration.
Here we go.
Kevin Cooper was hours away from receiving lethal injection. Hours away from it. His lawyers asked that DNA evidence be acquired in order to make sure he was actually guilty of the crime. And Kamala Harris's office tried to prevent DNA evidence from being acquired. They wanted Kevin Cooper to be executed. But the governor of California disagreed. They acquired DNA evidence, and the execution was stopped.
He was not guilty. I played this last live. Phoenix Rising. You just heard her say that she made a difficult decision to not execute. Meanwhile, I'm showing you proof, and if you look it up, he gave the name and everything, that she tried to kill a man.
The New York Times tells us that she feels really bad about it, for whatever that means. And people can also recall that while she was head of the California State Attorney General's office, over 1,000 people were locked up for smoking marijuana. She presided over jailing a lot of people. And on top of that, the drug labs in the state of California that were being used by the police were turning up false positive results. And
this guy's not just talking, he's putting up the articles showing what she did was evil. 1,000 cases dismissed. They were false positives. She locked them up anyway. She knew that they were false positives.
Yet Kamala Harris's office did not tell the defense attorneys or the judges about this. They knew that the drug labs were turning over false positives, and people went to prison because her office concealed that their drug labs were turning up false positives. And another thing about Kamala Harris, I don't know if people saw, but there's a video of Kamala Harris where she's bragging about how she jailed the parents of children who were truant from school.
Now, this is the one I was talking about. All right, so he's already established that she tried to kill a man. She's locked up 1,500. They said 1,000. So she locked up 1,500 for weed. 1,000 of them were false positives. And she tried to hide it from the judge. She got excoriated by the judge for trying to hide it. He's giving the sources. If you go back, just pause it. You can read the articles. But this one really, really bothers me. I mean, trying to kill a man is really bad. But this one is really, 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 really evil.
I would not be standing here were it not for the education I received. And I know many of us will say the same thing. And I believe a child going without an education is tantamount to a crime. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy. Well, this was a little controversial in San Francisco.
She's laughing. Nobody else is laughing with her.
And frankly, my staff went bananas. They were very concerned because we didn't know at the time whether I was going to have an opponent in my re-election race.
That's why they were concerned. They weren't concerned that she's locking up poor parents, most likely single parents. What does that do to a child? Okay, your kid didn't show up at school today, O Speaks. We're booking you. Okay, where's the child going? Where's the kid going? I don't care what age the kid is. If you're talking about teenagers, is that going to help the teen to now not be completely unsupervised? This is what look at it, she's laughing. This woman, I'm dedicating these next few months to showing people who this woman is. While our women are out there celebrating her because she's an AKA, they have no idea what she's really doing, what she was really doing. Her mindset is tyranny. She's literally locking people up.
I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy. Well, this was a little controversial in San Francisco. And frankly, my staff went bananas. They were very concerned because we didn't know at the time whether I was going to have an opponent in my re-election race. But I said, look, I'm done. This is a serious issue, and I've got a little political capital, and I'm going to spend some of it.
Political capital, that's what she was thinking about. Now, should kids be running around in the streets during school? No. But locking their parents up is her answer. That's her thought process. That's what she thinks is a good idea. This is insane. Normal people don't think like this. Zero compassion, zero empathy, zero sympathy. You don't know the situation that parent's in. So locking them up pulls the child from the home.
Have you seen the clip? Yeah. And she gets up there and it's the same kind of thing. She's giggling. Yes, I had the idea that we could lock up parents who are truant from school. You know, I wouldn't be anywhere in my life if it weren't for my education. And so not giving a child their education is a crime. And so I jailed parents, and she's giggling about it. It's just so great. And, you know, I see so much in U.S. media. They like to trivialize incarceration. There's so many shows on Netflix and all of that where it ends towards the end where someone goes to jail, but it's part of the happy ending. It's okay. And they don't seem to realize what that means. You know, when one member of a family, when a father or a mother goes to prison, or a brother or a sister, it hurts the entire family.
It really does. And yes, what if they're a struggling single mother? You put her in jail? What if she's got to go to work the next day? I know this isn't like you're imprisoning people, but locking them up there's no way you can come to the conclusion that that's the path to take to helping truancy. You have no idea what's going on in these people's lives. And throwing the mom, most likely the mom, but we could say or father in jail. Now you're impacting their job, potentially. You're putting something on their record that they're not even guilty of. I cut school a lot in high school. Throwing my mom in jail, to me, I wouldn't even be able to wrap my mind around how that would stop me from doing what I was doing, or how that would help my home. There was 8 of us. Throwing her in jail would have destroyed the home. Now, my father was there, but he worked 2 jobs. Would he be able to work with 8 kids? How would that work? How would that look? Destroying homes and laughing about it. And the only problem she had with it, I didn't know if we had somebody running against me, but I got some political capital. And she's laughing. The entire crowd is silent. Like, this woman's serious. This right here is why she got 0 votes. 0.
And when Kamala Harris is up there giggling about, I locked up these parents because their kids weren't in school. Yeah, kids need to be in school. When kids aren't getting to school, it's a problem. But the worst thing you could do is then throw their parents in jail. That's not going to help the situation in any conceivable way.
At all.
But when she's joking about it, and she's laughing about it, Kamala Harris, she says, what did she say? She said, well, I wouldn't be anywhere if it wasn't for my education. It's about her. The big line when she was calling out Joe Biden, when she was trying to contend with Joe Biden in the presidential election, what did she shout at Joe Biden? She shouted, "That little girl was me!"
You know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
And then her campaign started churning out T-shirts with the face of 10-year-old Kamala Harris on them. Do you remember this? Yes. It's almost like she wants us to vote for her because she was once a 10-year-old child. I mean, that's what it sounds like. What's particularly interesting is, you remember when Barack Obama was running for president. We knew everything about Barack Obama. We knew all about Barack Obama's pastor. We knew about Barack Obama's father from Kenya. We knew the school he went to in Indonesia. But Kamala Harris, barely anybody knows anything about Kamala Harris. Well, Kamala Harris's mother, who's now deceased, was from India, was a cancer researcher. And Kamala Harris's father, Donald Harris, was a Marxist economist, and is a Marxist economist, a professor at Stanford University. He was an advisor to the government of Michael Manley in Jamaica, and he and Kamala are estranged from one another. He did not attend Kamala's inauguration as vice president. They're not on good speaking terms. But the more you look at it, it's very clear that Kamala Harris sees herself as a victim. The way Kamala Harris speaks, the world has been unfair to her. And she blames Donald Harris for that to some degree or other. We don't know why. We also, there's rumors, we don't really know what happened when she was in Quebec. We just know she never talks about the years that she spent in Quebec. But Kamala Harris thinks that she is a victim.
Yep.
And she wants the whole world to know that that little girl was her. And she wants vengeance. And she wants to make people pay. And she wanted to make Kevin Cooper pay. And she wanted to make those parents pay. That's what leftism is if it's stripped of economics. If it's stripped of class struggle, if it's stripped of a desire to have the people rise up and control the means of production, if it's just anger, if it's just revenge, it's just a call for destruction, a call for rebellion, that's what Kamala Harris is. Kamala Harris, she's very much a guillotine meme. That's what she is. It's the glorification of punishment, a desire for revenge, a desire for destruction.
And I'm going to go back now so you guys can see what she was saying about fighting for people to not be executed. I don't know how that works.
My entire career, I have been personally opposed to the death penalty, and that has never changed. And I dare anybody who is in a position to make that decision, to face the people I have faced, to say, I will not seek the death penalty. That is my background. That is my work. I am proud of it. I think you can judge people by when they are under fire, and it's not about some fancy opinion on a stage, but when they're in the position to actually make a decision, what do they do? When I was in the position of having to decide whether or not to seek a death penalty on cases I prosecuted, I made a very difficult decision that was not popular to not seek the death penalty.
To Phoenix Rising's point earlier, where is it? Crap, it was pretty far up. She said, why is it a difficult decision to not kill somebody? Here it is. To her, that was difficult. She's a full-on narcissist. She's a sociopath. She definitely has daddy issues. But choosing whether or not to give someone the death penalty is a difficult decision. Now, there are some cases where people need to be gone. When you involve children, stuff like that. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about an innocent man. They found out he was innocent when they took the test that she did not want them to take, the DNA test. And she said she was proud of her record.
History shows that, and I am proud of those decisions.
Senator Harris, thank you very much. Senator Bennett, a question for you. Why are you the best candidate to heal the racial divide that exists in this country?
Oh, that guy's an idiot. I'm not going to watch that. But yeah, so that was that. Sorry for the sidetrack. But this leads us to black women. Why are we so behind this woman? Every person in here needs to show a black woman, whether they're an AKA or they're supporting this woman, show who she is. Pause that video. The articles are there. It shows who she really is, and how her mind works is lock them up. Use them for slave labor in California. Everything they complain about privatized prisons, she was all for. And she just said she's proud of it. Show somebody this video. Please share this live with somebody, because there's no getting around her own words. When you see her saying these things, there's no getting around it. If you know somebody like this, please share it with them. It is important.
Let me ask you a question. Would you vote for it?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm going to just be real honest
Sound
with
isn't
this.
good.
She's a black woman.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back. The sound's not very good. Sorry.
Let me ask you a question. Would you vote for it?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm going to just be real honest with this. She's a black woman.
Yeah.
Because they skin folk, not Kim folk.
I think it goes back to what somebody was saying, where it's not voting for someone, but majority will vote for somebody else just
Hold on. Let me line this out.
I
Is
think
it
majority.
only because she a black woman?
Yeah.
Do you not see how that's a bad idea?
Elaborate.
Okay, so we're in 3 proxy wars with some of the most powerful leaders in the world. She failed at the border, in which we have an estimation of 15 to 20 million people illegally into this country. That is literally overtaking and bankrupting Chicago to the tune of over $400 million per year, and they are in a deficit. Oakland is going out of business. San Francisco ditto. California, $65 billion deficit. New York, they're literally cutting trash, in which they are the rattiest, dirtiest city, and they've taken up resources as far as free healthcare, free hotels to the tune of $600 a day. They're literally taking over your schools. Your taxpayer dollars are going to fund the migrant crisis. She was supposed to be in charge of this. We have a failing economy. Every single day I see people getting on the internet talking about $30 an hour is the new minimum wage, because inflation is fucking out of control. At one point, it was at almost 10%, depending on what city that you in. She has no policy, no record to stand on. One of the biggest things that she did in her career was lock up more black men than ever before. But we sitting here and vote her in office on identity politics. The very person that she was under as far as the president of the United States of America, she called him racist during a debate, which shows you how fake she is. And the only thing that we can stand on from a policy perspective is whether or not she's black and she's a woman. We did that during the Obama administration, and he didn't do anything for black people. As a matter of fact, y'all complain because the only person that he did, or the only group of people that he really stood for, is the alphabet community, and that's his landmark thing that he's still standing on today. So the only thing that we have to stand on is identity politics. That shit didn't work with Tiffany Henyard in Dayton, Illinois. It didn't work with Karen Bass. It didn't work with Lori Lightfoot in Chicago. It didn't work with Brandon Johnson that then took over her position in Chicago. It didn't work with Andre Dickens in Atlanta. It didn't work with Eric Adams in New York. It doesn't work across the country. Every single Democratic city is a hellhole. And we sitting here talking about identity politics?
So Anton is a great content creator. If you don't know who he is, go like and subscribe to him, please. He does stuff like this, and he does some manosphere stuff. But when he's on politics and business, he's on it. Everything he said was 100% true. Holy crap. I got an alert during that video, and I promised last week that I was going to recognize somebody if they offered any kind of blessing to me. Beautiful one. Jeez. I'm left speechless. Beautiful one just blessed me. And I cannot say how humbling this is. To think that people would come out their pocket to bless me over speaking is... She is the stream sponsor. She's a freaking channel sponsor as far as I'm concerned. She is so generous. Beautiful one. My goodness. Thank you so much. I have it up now, so I got a little alert because I felt bad finding out after the fact that somebody came out their pocket and gave me some of their hard-earned money while I'm yapping, running my mouth. Um, so wow, what a blessing! Oh, thank you. That's all I can say. I I have no words, and this is not the first time. She literally is the channel sponsor here. Um, yeah, I stopped just to say that. Thank you so much. I appreciate you more than you know. What Anton was saying, if you don't follow him, I think you should, especially right now in the political season. He's starting to ramp it up on politics. Our women have to stop. Catch him at a Jagger. How you doing? Always great seeing you here. Great, 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 great supporter. She really is a blessing. She really is. But when you hear a woman speak like this, think of me. Think of my video and say, you know what? I'm going to show you something, and just force them to make them commit to watching, even if it's just that one section where the guy's talking about her, and you see her laughing. Just that section and the Tulsi Gabbard section. You don't have to play my whole live. I don't expect people to watch 2 hours of a live stream. But if you can share, I'm going to clip this up and share some of it as videos. Share that, please, because our women are really spearheading this movement. Like, Black women are all in, and I don't think they understand. If they had a child who skipped school, she would lock them up and laugh. And then on a stage, while they're telling the world, she would say, I'm proud of it. You know how I know she would say that? We just watched her say it. This is not a normal human being. So when I say she is trash, when you see G. Will in here saying she is trash, he's from California. He knows who she is. Well, he's not from California, but he's in California. He knows who she is. He knows who she is. Her politics don't align with reality at all. She thought that would be a good idea. When you think about energy and where gas prices are right now, if you cut gas down to $1.50, literally everything in your life would change. All food, all goods, all leisure would decline. The pricing of it would decline. Why? In order to ship things, you have to use gas. So when we're looking at these energy prices, and she says something like this, and I'm gonna play another. This is the last short video I have. She doesn't understand what she's saying. She does not understand politics at all. This is who she is.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yeah, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands, right? And then there has to be legislation. But yes, and this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue. And to your point, we have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities. Yeah. So thank you. There's no question.
I'm going to play that again because it's like reality is the opposite of what she just said.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yeah, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands, right? And then there has to be legislation. But yes, and this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue. And to your point, we have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities. Yeah. So thank you.
So the residual impacts of not fracking and not drilling here means we have to pay tyrants and dictators overseas for the oil anyway. It's not that we're not using the oil. It's that we're not gaining any of the benefits of it. We're strictly consumers. We can sell oil. We have more oil than anybody, including the Middle East, including Venezuela. But they don't want to drill here because they're globalists. And how would it help other nations for us to be oil independent? That's what they're thinking about. They're thinking about the global economy. They couldn't care less about here. Food would be cheaper. Uh, taking my son to the movies would be cheaper. Literally every aspect of your life, the cost would decrease. Your entire cost of living would decrease. Just from oil, just from drilling. That's why Trump had such an immediate impact. They always say, oh, well, that was Obama's policies. No, we started drilling. The oil companies knew they could drill, and costs went down. As supply is in demand, the prices will typically go up if you don't have a supply. And that's what we're looking at right now. It's 100% what we're looking at right now. This is basic economics, people. Basic economics. I did a whole video on inflation. I should repost that. But this stuff is not rocket science. These people just don't understand it. They just don't understand it. And they're running up the costs here for everything because they say that the world's going to end. They've been saying this since the 70s. The year 2000, the world was supposed to be ending. I'll put those on my community wall too. I have several of those posts. There's supposed to be no more polar bears. The ice caps were supposed to be gone 10 years ago. Did you see that? What was the name of that documentary by Al Gore? Every prediction in it was false. And it's already come to reality has come to pass. Nothing he said was going to happen is going to happen. What do they do? 10 years from now, the world's going to end. And they just keep doing this. It's pretty incredible. It really is. But the education doesn't matter. A lot of times, you heard that young lady. He said, so you're going to do this because she's black? Yeah, that's it. There's this loyalty. It's blind. And I believe if they see stuff like this, is why I do what I do on here. This is literally why I do this. Somebody's got to say something. On this side, it can't just be white people saying that guy on the stage, very effective, but he's white. They're not going to even, she probably wouldn't even play it if you showed her that. Fast forward to the part where you see her speaking so they can see it. Because unfortunately, we live in a world where people will look at the source and decide right then and there, it's Fox News. They couldn't care less what it says. They couldn't care less what the actual content is. It's Fox News. I'll go to MSNBC. And I'll get a full-on socialist opinion on the same thing. And they'll explain to me why going green is great. While they fly on private jets over to the summit about changing the world and green society and getting rid of fossil fuels while they're using them. The rules don't apply to them. They're tyrants. That is all I have today. Actually, did I have one more? No, that's all I had for today. Please share this. If you know any of these people, share it. I do have one more of her speaking gibberish. I'll share that. I'll use that for another video because I have so much more Kamala stuff. I have months and months worth. The last 2 streams have been dedicated to her. Tomorrow or Tuesday, I'm going to go live about that Olympics. And we're going to address the what's going on with Christians. So if you're a person of faith, please watch. If you're not, it may not be the one for you. I would still watch it just to see where society is going and where they're trying to take society. But if you saw the opening of the Olympics, it's disgusting. And tomorrow or Tuesday, I'm going to go over that because that cannot be ignored. What we saw was a literal perversion on the international stage from France, and it was beyond offensive. Beyond offensive. But I would love to thank Beautiful One again, sponsor of this channel. Rare Money, appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much for stopping in. Genesis One, as always, best mod out there. Well, Beautiful One's in here. It's a tie. T-Rel, thank you for stopping by, man. Appreciate it. I've seen you in here a couple times now. Thanks for coming back, man. Catch him at a Jagger as always. Love to see you in here. Vibes in my lane. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. G Will, as always, appreciate you, sir. I saw there was a lot of people in here. It's awesome seeing so many people come in here. Miss Chicago, of course, from the shot, from my hometown. Um, who else? I'm scrolling up. Sorry. Phoenix Rising. Jeez, I feel bad when I forget people. Phoenix Rising. My first mod, I believe. It was Genesis 1 and then Phoenix Rising may have been the second. Either way, appreciate you. Somebody was in here trying to troll. That does not work on me. It'll never work on me. Trust me. You waste your time if you come in here thinking that you're going to troll me. I troll trolls. It's not going to impact me. I'm not going to react. You're just going to disappear, and no one's going to know the difference. Who else? T-Rel. I already said T-Rel. Miss Denise Stewart is always in here. She's amazing. Mel W, of course. He's going live right after this. Who else was in here? I'm sorry. Vibes in my lane. Appreciate you coming in again. It's very cool seeing people come back. Anyone on Rumble? I don't know if I was able to go live. It said there was an error. I don't know what that was all about. Hopefully it still went because last time it did. I think that is everyone who was in here today. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Vince, of course, the other stream sponsor, and friend, legit friend. Who else? True Pac was in here. True Essence was in here. Thank you, young lady. I already said Mel, G Will, Amber C, of course. One of my day ones was in here. So, thank you all so much. Clara Booker, of course. Clara Booker is always in here. I do not want to forget Clara Booker. Biz 101, my brother, he is in here. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you stopping in, man. If you go back and watch this replay, dude, this one was, I played some good stuff, man. Some very good stuff. So I'm going to start sharing links like I always do. I saw Genesis 1 was doing it, but I still do it in the chat. So Real Talk Nikki, she just put out a really funny video on Kamala earlier today, or was it yesterday? Either way, very, very, very funny. She's excellent content creator. Mel Dub, who was already in here, of course, always share his stuff. Very good. I'll be watching his live while my son screams in the background. Who else? We got Biz. Biz is in here. I always share your lives, sir. People don't understand how important you are. I'm still not convinced you understand how important you are to YouTube. Who else we got? Who else? This man does not need me to post anything for him ever, but I will always do it because without him, most of us wouldn't even know each other. We wouldn't even be here, at least not in this area of YouTube. Mr. Kwame Brown, Miss Akimi, one of the most positive human beings outside of Miss Genesis on YouTube. Like seriously, one of the most positive human beings on YouTube. Let's see who else we got. We got the best YouTuber in the game, in my opinion. There is no one who can entertain like this young man. I believe he's gonna get hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I believe he's on his way to 1 million now. If you see how fast this damn DPOV channel is growing, you'd be like, oh, I mean, over 20,000 subscribers in the last month or two. That dude is a beast. No one can do what that guy does. Another great content creator. My brother, my YouTube brother, and my friend, Vince, huge supporter, always supporter. Day one, absolutely. And this young man will be going live. I keep bothering him. The guys will love this guy. I don't know if the ladies will love him, but once Jay starts going live, Jay Power starts going live, you guys you're in for a treat. Phenomenal. Thank you, Biz. I appreciate you, obviously. You know that, man. That goes without saying. If you would like, we can always use a fresh wind. Let's do this. Hit the Cash App. It all goes here. You start seeing little differences here and there. That's from what you guys give. And I do not take it for granted at all in any way. So if I ever forgot to put you up, I usually will put you up after the fact. But from now on, I'm just gonna keep doing this. Rare Money, like I said, I'm refreshing on the spot. Sir, I appreciate you, man. The support is it's always humbling. I can't say it any other way. It's really hard to describe the feeling of talking and then seeing somebody gave you some of their money to hear you talk. It is what it is, man. It's a great, 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 great honor. And that is all. I'm not going to go out on Glorious today. I'm going to go out on there's a group called Cartoons that I really, really love. And that's going to be my exit music for today. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Rare Money. Thank you, Miss Beautiful One. Obviously, could not be more honored. And I am gone. Thank you, guys.